Boom! There it is, ladies and gents. It's rock and roll, tax saving, real estate investors. Listen up. Today's episode is all for you. Let's get this show on the road. No more waiting. Let's do this thing.
Shut up and sit down.
Is your business in need of customers? Then you found the right show. Hernan Cias is the business bro, and he makes getting customers fun and easy. Watch, listen, and learn as each episode is designed to sell. Welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Yeah, it's fire time. Let's do this thing. Who do we got on the show today? Well, you know, that author, Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. He talks about the 4 quadrants that you can earn income from. Most are employees and self-employed. But when you're ready to move into that business owner and investor quadrant, you need a team of professionals to advise you. And that's where today's guest comes in. His team covers asset protection, tax planning, retirements, IRAs, estate planning, and more. So let's jump on the money train and welcome today's guest, who's helped over 2,000 investors protect over $2 billion, with a B, billion in assets. Today's guest is from Royal Legal Solutions and 2-time guest, Scott Royal Smith. Boom! All right, Scott, do this thing, man. Did I tee it up good enough?
Oh, dude, that was absolutely fire, man. That was exciting.
All right, man, jump into this thing. 2,000 investors that you've already helped protect over $2 billion in assets. Let's just start off with it, man. Just as a recap.
What do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah, so the real quick thing is I help make people rich, right? What I do is everything else that's besides making money, right? A lot of people think that's like, hey, to get wealthy, to be rich, what you actually have to do is I have to go out there, I have to fit a new product. I need this like amazing idea. Absolutely wrong. That's not the way wealth is actually created. Wealth is actually created by playing defense, not offense. Of course, you need money, right? You need money coming in, but you also have to protect that money from expenses, from taxes. You need to protect it from lawsuits. You need to optimize that money to have it in the right investments to give you consistent returns like over time. So that way you can know, great, what is my pathway all the way to financial freedom? And what we've done that's so different at Royal Legal Solutions and why we've been exploding with so many people coming to us is because we combine what happens with group education, with expert coaching, with being able to do all the implementation and execution of all of the back end issues of people's businesses and their real estate investing and other investing, as well as all of their tax advisory, tax strategy, and tax filing. So really what we focus on is how to enable you to have best practices in every area of your life so that way you can focus on the one thing that we can't do for you, which is going out there and making the money.
We've dealt with, and well, fortunately, right, we've dealt with a lot of hot markets. People their assets have increased in value. They've been able to use some of that equity. Interest rates were, for the most part, really low. People have been taking advantage of the market. But you kind of get in this situation where you start acquiring a bunch of assets and then you get this target on your back. All of a sudden you are more at risk and you're worrying about stuff. You know, explain a little bit about how we can even shelter ourselves, protect ourselves from having that target on your back.
Yeah, man. So what happened, a friend of mine, is that he was very well insured, had $3 million in real estate and lost it all from a single lawsuit. And it was from like a contract deal that he had on the side. And because all the assets were in his personal name, which is the absolute worst way you can own anything. I mean, that single lawsuit was enough to be able to wipe out his entire net worth, right? And all he needed to do was some really simple asset protection that was above his insurance. I mean, he knew that insurance protected him from most things most of the time. But what he didn't realize is that any emails that he sent, text messages that he might have sent, just driving in his car, any communications or contracts that he made with people, that all of those things were going to have liability that his insurance couldn't and would never cover, and that he could have saved himself over $3 million if he would have just even had the very basics of an LLC put in place, which is the number one thing that we say, hey, if you can only afford to do one thing, if you have over $50,000 in total net worth, and you can only afford to do one thing, establish an asset holding company. Act like rich people do. Rich people don't own yachts. Rich people have companies that own yachts, right? So act like they do. Take all of your net worth, push it into an LLC. So that way, if you do something stupid or somebody lies about you, which is what they always do before they sue you and during the lawsuit, you know that you don't care because all your wealth is protected. And even better than that, own it inside of an anonymous LLC and own the assets anonymously. So it looks like you qualify for food stamps whenever they come to sue you, because people that look like they qualify for food stamps don't get sued.
But does that mean like driving a crappy car? Does that mean living in a crappy house? Like, come on.
No, man. It's all about living the baller lifestyle, right? That's what we all want. We all want the lifestyle that we want, whatever that's going to be, right? The trick is don't own any of it, right?
Control.
That's the game. Use all of it. Don't own any of it.
All right. So let's tee it up, because there's a lot of people out there that, I'm okay. I own a house. I bought a second house. I started my business. I started an LLC for my business. Should those things be separate, or do I keep them together? How do I structure that?
Yeah, man, it's really simple, right? First thing you're going to do is you're going to take all of your assets and you're going to put it into an anonymous asset holding company. That's like your vault. That's the way you protect yourself from never having backslides from lawsuits or anything else coming with you that's going to make you be able to take a downward tumble on your net worth, right? Now, the great part is even though they're all held anonymously, right, it doesn't complicate your taxes, doesn't complicate your banking. All those things can be streamlined so your life functions exactly the same way it does now. If you ever need to qualify for financing or otherwise prove your assets, all you do is show the bank the documentation. But those are private disclosures. They're not public. So it looks like if anybody ever comes to look to sue you, they're going to search the public records. And guess what? It doesn't look like you own anything. Doesn't even look like you own any companies, right? So number one is protect everything. And there's a way to do that keeps everything super simple in your life. It works exactly the same way it is now. And it's going to be able to allow you to do your business and do the deals that you want to do. Second company that you want to establish, company number 2 over here, that is what we call an operating company, right? Your operating company is the one that does all of your active business. It's going to be signing contracts with people. It's going to be sending emails. It's going to do all of the business activities that you would otherwise be doing personally, right? In your personal name. What that operating company does is it takes in all of the income, takes on all the liability. And whenever somebody says, hey, that contract, blah, 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 or whatever happened with like a product you sold them or whatever, right? They're gonna say, I'm gonna sue you. And you're gonna say, guess what? I don't care.
I don't know anything.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Guess what? The company you did business with doesn't have any assets, right? And all of my money, if you try to come after me, is inside an asset holding company. So good luck wasting a bunch of money suing me where you're not gonna get anything. And guess what? When you structure it that way, the lawsuits actually just don't go anywhere at all. I actually had this happen with a client of mine. What happened was that they sold a piece of real estate, right? They had the real estate inside of an LLC, and that's the only piece of real estate, only thing that was inside of that individual LLC. Yeah. What they did is they had an operating company that sent all the emails and did all the communications, and they had a separate LLC that owned that piece of real estate. So when the buyer came back and said, hey, you defrauded me around something around the plumbing that happened with this property that you sold me, we looked at it and I talked to the attorney. I said, listen, what are you going to get, man? The money that you gave us from selling the asset has already been distributed. So the LLC that owned the asset and sold it to you doesn't own anything. If you want to come after us for whatever you think we said inside of emails, other communications, guess what? That company doesn't own anything. And I can tell you that my client doesn't own anything inside of the name that you're going to be able to get to. So that $75,000 lawsuit got dropped before it even started because they said, hey, listen, we're not going to be able to get to any of the assets. So we're not going to go ahead and proceed with spending $5,000 to $50,000 on a lawsuit to be able to have a zero recovery at the end of the day. So the business decision of the lawsuit didn't make sense. And that's how you can win lawsuits regardless of the facts. The facts don't matter. You just win it by the structure and knowing how the game is played and how the business works.
That's powerful. I love knowing the rules to how these things are structured, right? Because the rules are really everything in this game, right? I always go back to Monopoly. The first time you play Monopoly, you sucked. And the only reason why you sucked is because you didn't know how to play the game. The second time you had a chance of winning because you knew the rules to the game. Once you know the rules, there's a bunch of rules in taxes. There's a bunch of rules in estate planning. There's a bunch of rules with entities. And always hiring a professional for me is always the greatest advice that I've ever learned. Because yeah, I can fill out the LLC paperwork. Yeah, I can learn how to do tax returns. Yeah, I can learn all that stuff. But why? Like, I mean, you see it over and over again. Literally, you're talking about an anonymous entity, right? You're talking about an LLC that's anonymous. In my mind, the only thing I'm thinking about is this a disregarded entity? How would I even create that? Where would the K1s go? Like, all this stuff's going on in my mind, and I have a background in some of this stuff, right? So, you know, when people are getting ready to move into that space, what does that ideal client look like for you? You know, is it somebody who's major, who has a bunch of properties, or somebody who's just getting started?
I am looking for qualities beyond the physical.
Exactly. Who's your ideal client?
Yeah, man. I think that what we're looking to do is to connect with everybody, right? So if you don't have anything right now, it's awesome. It's a great time to start getting educated. And we have free weekly coaching that you can go to. We have curated content that we get by providing us some of the information about you and where you're at now and where you're going, that we can say, hey, here's the best things that people just like you have found useful. And then, of course, we're working for people that say, hey, listen, I got, 2+ pieces of real estate. I have over $100,000 in total net worth. But our company is really geared around the fact of saying, listen, we can afford to give all of the information and the education inside of the settings that we do for absolutely free, until the point that we need to work with you to devise a particular strategy for your situation. But here's what's wild. We've actually been able to get to a place now as a company where for under $200, we can walk you through all of the education that you would need, that for people that are just like you to be able to get from where you're at now to where you want to go on your asset protection, on what you need to be doing for your estate planning and what's appropriate for your estate planning, what you need for support on your taxes, as well as what you need to be doing with your insurance, and what does your investments need to look like in times of your whole portfolio. So for under $200, we're actually able to walk people through an entire process that would cost them thousands of dollars to meet with professionals, if they could even find the right professionals to meet with. And all of our team is fully in-house. So all of our solutions are integrated from start to finish to be able to know that these are like the holistic, integrated, and efficient types of solutions. So when it comes to who should connect with us, I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't benefit from being able to have that kind of holistic support.
Wait, under $200, under $200. I remember paying $4,000 for a real estate investment training seminar. It was like 3 days, and I learned a lot. It was definitely worth the money. Paid another $4,000 to learn about asset protection, and I learned everything I needed about entity structures and how to structure estate planning. That's $8,000 in training. And that was in $8,000 in 2000 money, not in today's money, which is completely different. What does it look like? How are you doing that for under $200?
Yeah, it's really simple, actually. Once you really understand how wealth is actually just a business model, just like anything else. So what the key and the secret is it's in the data collection that we do. Because we have such precise data collection about what's happening with your finances, around your assets, around your return on investments that you're making, on your taxes, we're actually able to know from just the data sets that here's where they're at now, here's where they're trying to go, this is what that journey looks like, right? And because we've worked with over 2,000 clients, we've seen what are the predictable paths, both on the education and the execution, to know what are going to be the recommendations that are going to be necessary for that person, so that they're not sold anything more than what they're going to need, and they're also not underprotected, right? It also comes down to what people can afford. So sometimes people come in and say, hey, listen, I understand that what I need is X, but what I can afford is Y. And we say, great, that's fantastic. Let's go ahead and put in Y, and we'll build off of that in a way that we won't ever have to go back and redo the work that we already did. And I got to tell you, this type of approach is revolutionary inside of the attorney, tax, insurance, and investment market, because nobody besides Royal Legal Solutions has integrated all in one house with one data set to have prescriptive solutions that are predictable of what should happen with that client. So how can we do it? Is because all of the strategic thinking has already been done by me and the senior C-suite team of professionals that we work with, such that we can then train our staff to come meet with you, and they'll already know, listen, this is what's going to be appropriate here. What are the underlying pieces of information that we're going to need to tweak it or customize it for your particular scenario? And what that allows us to do is to provide all of the intelligence that's needed for a very low cost, and then provide price competitive solutions. Now, we're not like the cheapest in the market, right? But we are the most cost effective and value play of the top tier providers. So when you're looking at anybody that's in that very top stratosphere of tax eligibility, asset protection, estate planning, insurance, and investments, we are in that category of elite provider, where we're at the value place because our goal is to help as many people on an aggregate number as we can get to financial freedom over time. That's the number one KPI that drives our company.
2,000 different investors have come your way. You've helped them protect over $2 billion in assets. My question is more along lines of how do you get to 2,000 people? Like, what were you doing to acquire customers? What's your business model in getting the word out so that people are aware that, dude, you can get a lot of information for under $200. We'll set something up for you so that you can start building something so that you can hire us so we can take you to that next level. How are you getting your word out? Customer acquisition.
That's customer acquisition, what it's all about, right? So the trick is, I think, it's two things. One is give away all the information for free that you possibly can, right? You want everybody to be educated because that's how you prove credibility. Number two is what you want to do is be able to find a way to be able to provide an experience that is unlike any other experience they can have, right? That's why we decided to do all of the hard work of in-housing all of the different components of what we know is important for our target customer. Because our target customer is the person that has somewhere between a $50,000 to $25 million net worth, and they typically will have at least one piece of real estate as part of their portfolio, right? And they typically make over $100,000 a year. What do they do? They also happen to typically be male, but I just think that's because nobody's talking to women, you know, what they need to be doing with their wealth into it, right? So the game is you give away all of that for free, right? Or you give it away for what's the minimum you can possibly charge to get people as much education and intelligence they can possibly have. Now, when it comes time to actually say a sale, where you're going to ask somebody for somewhere between $6,000 to $15,000 to be able to implement these kinds of solutions for them, right? Sometimes it can be more too with like more expensive clients, but our average client spends somewhere between $6,000 to $15,000 with us because we can prove the ROI because we're looking at everything holistically. So there's no games to be played about what's going on with the numbers. It's just math that you invest this much with us, and then this is the outcome that you're going to get, right? And it's typically on that 20% ROI play. So it's really easy for us to say, where else in the world are you making 20% of your money, right? Great. So having a holistic solution to make sure everything is done right for you is actually making you money. How could you possibly say no to that? And so when you can come up with solutions like that and you do the hard work to really know your customer and really get deep into what are all of the pain points they have, and then do all of the hard work to in-house all of the components so that way they don't have to do any of the thinking and it's done for them, that's how you get to explosive growth.
Sounds like you're earning the business. I mean, that's a different person. I'll give you this. Like, we are big on creating paid ads and video testimonials and doing those sorts of things, right? But I think what oftentimes people miss is, you know, when we promote video testimonials, it requires that you actually done work for somebody, that you've shown your value to somebody, that you've given them an experience that they're happy about, that they want to talk about. And we capture that, right? We capture that on video, and we then turn around and build paid ads behind that. We do different types of campaigns to grow that business model. But it sounds to me like you're doing the same thing. I'm providing all this education for under $200. I'm giving you all the step-by-step stuff that you need to do. And I'm showing you that this is the best option for you. And when you're in a position to move forward, that's when you bring me on. Did I hear that about right?
Yeah, that's 100% right. And the way that you can do that is, and the way that we're able to do that is because we have a team of about 40 people, right? And we have we have teams of specialists that work in-house with us, right? And what you really got to do if you really want to win in this game is you have to deliver, right? You have to deliver, and you have to deliver in a predictable way. So one of the things that was important to us when making sure that we delivered, because we want all of our testimonials to be, rock solid, is that we said, great, we're only going to take on so many clients, right? We can take on as many people we want in the education space because that's one to many. But when it comes with who are the people that we can actually walk through all of the stages of the meetings that's appropriate for them to be able to have, that's where we have to say, great, we actually have to limit our growth to be able to ensure that the quality stays high, right? We also have to make sure that the people that we're helping are going to be helped at the right time. It doesn't make any sense for me to spend 6 to 7 hours of specialist time with somebody who's like, well, I actually have a negative net worth. Well, there's not much I can do to help you, right? And so we also have to be careful about is, well, great, let's keep you in the education space. Let's keep using the tools that we have to keep accessing the data about what's happening with your financials. What's the kind of content? What are the opportunities that are available for you? And then say, great, at the right time, we're going to bring you in to say, great, it looks like you've hit this point. This is when we will be of use to you for you to start making those kinds of investments with us.
Yeah, it's an application process. Like they're evaluating if they're going to want to work with you in the first place, right? What am I actually getting in this education process? What are you actually teaching me? But vice versa, it's working the other way as well, right? We're looking at, where you're at in your investment journey. Have you hit that peak point where we're actually a good fit? So what is that process like? If people want to work with you, what is your sales? And they're all in line. They're all ready to work with you. Look at that.
Yeah, dude, I love it. Yeah, sales process with us really isn't sales, right? Sales with us is actually a process where we first will end up, like we're going to pitch to everybody today and say, hey, listen, the first thing we need to do is to be able to have everybody go and take an assessment or a quiz, right? It's about 20 questions long. And this gives us all the basic information that we need from you about where you're at currently, where you're going, as everything from numbers of properties, types, where you live, what does income look like, et cetera, right? That would come through. From there, what we'll actually be able to see is, are we a good fit? Is this somebody who fits inside of the models of we understand of how to help somebody that's like that, right? And when that happens, what we're able to do then is say, great, this is somebody we should connect with on the phone, explain with them a little bit about like what that educational opportunity is going to look like, how they can plug in to our community totally for free to start getting up to 3 weekly phone calls with us about getting up to speed with what's the quality of the people that are inside of our community, to make sure that they're in the right community of peers. Do they like the access to the professionals? Because my top professionals are inside of our private Discord channel. They're inside of all of our group coaching. So you're going to be able to see the top people from the company without ever having to give us $1. And then once we have the credibility and the trust at that point, then we'll say, great, now it can make sense for us to move forward with a further relationship. Now that you've had a chance to look at us, we've looked at your data and said, yeah, we know exactly how we would help this type of person. And then we walk through a system of assessments, educational homework that we need you to get up to speed on certain areas, as well as prescriptive meetings to tell you what is, in our understanding, a best practice for either your asset protection, your estate planning, your tax, your insurance, or your investment portfolio.
And you can essentially do all of those, right? You mentioned you have a 40-person team, so you have people that are specializing.
Everything is in-house. We don't farm anything out. Everything is done in-house in one integrated team. It's the only way that we've been able to find that we can take all of the thinking off of your plate, right? Every other investor that's out there, the struggles that they have is either A, they're just talking to whoever they have around them or finding out stuff they have to do online, or they're talking to individual service providers, an individual CPA, an individual attorney, an individual insurance guy. What that typically means is you're really confused. You're talking to a bunch of people that don't make money the same way you make money, so they don't really understand your investment or real estate investment model that you're working on. You're left having to quarterback all the information. They're all going to tell you their strategies of what they understand, of what they think other professionals should be recommending to you. So now you have conflicting advice among your professional team. And what does that mean? You're confused. You're guessing in the dark about what the right thing to do is, and you're hoping that it's all done correctly. And the only person you have to rely on is really, it's you. So what we've done is said, nope, we in-house it all. You rely on us. We will show you what is the best integrated solution for holistic, integrated, and efficient solutions that run for the full gamut of your wealth building.
You're so right, because it's funny because you went out as a professional. You went out and you hired a CPA. You went out and you got an attorney. You went out and you're trying to build this team. But the problem with that team is they don't talk to each other. They only talk to you. You just like what people do when they're self-employed. They become their own bottleneck and they're the plug. They're the thing that's stopping their business from growing. I feel like that's almost the same thing that's happening here on a professional level. They're going out and they're looking for professionals to help them out. But it still comes back to them. Like, you need to, if you do that, you got to learn to speak taxes, and you got to learn to speak accounting, and you got to learn to speak legal, because you're talking to all that team rather than just going in-house with one person, right?
That's it, right? And it's one person with one strategic approach, with one relationship, and one education model that builds sequentially. So you're being able to get walked to the right information at the right time that will allow you to be able to make an informed decision in increments, instead of trying to take it all in like a fire hose and then hope you can sort it out, and then you don't know when to take what actions, right? Or what are the most important actions to take, and how should I prioritize it? Because I probably have a limited budget of what can I do, and how do I know that the money I'm spending here is actually going to be useful, right? Instead of just, I don't know, right? Which is where most people are at.
They're in the hope and pray strategy. All right. So if people want to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, it's
Hello
really
to my
easy.
little friend.
Yeah, I love that, man. Tony Montana is probably one of like my kid idols, you know?
Yeah.
You know? It's like, as an entrepreneur, I'm like, yes, absolutely. Let's take over the world together.
Another level.
Yeah. It's really, man, we created actually a special link for everybody here on the show. So that way we can offer some special promotional types of activities around giving you guys like free ebooks, free videos, all the things that we know are going to be important to the Business Bros podcast. All you have to do is go to rlspod.com/businessbros. That's rlspod.com/busbros.
/bros?
Yeah, busbros. Yeah, rlspod.com/busbros.
All right. I'm going to throw it on the screen right there. Boom. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
There it is, ladies and gents. All right, dude, Scott, you guys are rocking it, man. All kinds of free stuff, free promos. I didn't even give you the actual promo thing. Okay, here, we'll do it one more time just because I love my little clips. But here you go.
I'm giving away free money.
All right, one more time. How you doing it? Tell me where to go.
Yeah, go to rlspod.com/busbros. And that's going to give you all a ton of free ebooks. It's going to give you free access to videos. It's going to be able to hook you up with the way to be able to connect with our staff if you think that's appropriate. And I got to tell you, man, anybody that comes and fills out just those basic information that we have, those basic quizzes, the basic prompts that you're going to get on the site, those are the people that through those actions are going to get the very best content, because we're going to be able to prescribe to them what is the right content for people that have been just like them. So that's going to save them hours and hours of studying the wrong stuff, right? It's going to save them money from not taking the wrong action. So if there's only one thing you can do to be able to accelerate your path to financial freedom and increasing your wealth, it's going to be going to rlspod.com/busbros.
Boom. All right, ladies and gents, let's do this thing. Let's make him an offer he can't refuse.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
All right, that's it. Look, you have assets, you have a business, you have things going on, but you need to protect yourself. Not just that, just like in The Wizard of Oz, there's this golden road that sits in front of you if you know what steps to take. So it's really simple. You guys want to get the best education possible, learn the tips that you need to do, and then take action in the right direction with a team of people who are ready to help you. Go to www.rlspod.com/buzzbros and get your stuff squared away. There's all kinds of free content there. There's all kinds of information that you can use to get your business in a position so that you can take it to that next level. rlspod.com/busbros, rlspod.com/busbros. Scott, dude, it's been amazing. Again, round 2 with the Business Bros. So of course, we're all the video testimonial types. What was your experience like from the last time to this time?
Oh man, it's always great coming on your show, man. I love the high energy. I love the way that you have like a great curriculum and content. of like how you organize the conversation. Fantastic.
What do you think of our, I mean, you've been in business for a while. You've seen a lot of businesses. What do you think of our marketing stuff as far as like when you book on our site, when you go through our whole process? What do you think of our marketing system?
Yeah, man, I would recommend your marketing system as just like a best practice of like what people should be doing. So if that's I would recommend anybody to look at like what you're doing as a model for what they should be doing. And that just like in your business, man, it's just like mine, right? If you just do the best practices of stuff that's already working, you don't need to be creative. It just turns into saying like, can you put in the work to have the success that you need? And so that's what I would say is encourage everybody to stop trying to be so freaking creative. You don't need to be. You just need to find like what are the tried and true methods of success. Those should be obvious because multiple people are doing them. People that have walked the road before are doing them. And just like you're doing with your marketing, that's the stuff that all of the people are using right now that are actually having success. So why wouldn't anybody do it?
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. Scott, thank you very much. Ladies and gents, again, man, business is just a game of rules. As long as you know the rules and you partner up with people who are more successful and experts at what they do, you have a better chance of winning. So one more time, that's RLS. Let me pop it on the screen. RLSpod.com/busbros. Get on there, check out what's there, learn, and start to implement some of those things because that's really the key to your success. You can learn all you want, but it's not until you start to implement that things will change for you. Scott, thanks again for being on the show. Ladies and gents, we'll see you guys again mañana. Peace, and we're out.
Thanks for watching The Business Bros. If you're ready to get more clients and want to work with The Business Bro, visit our website, www.businessbros.biz, and click on the Need More Customers button, or learn how to generate more referrals with our video testimonial packages. Go to www.businessbros.biz and start getting more customers.